Hello! Welcome back once again to the Retrocade Podcast. This is episode 20. We're at a nice, fresh, even number, 20. It's Phil here, and I got another special guest this week. We've got our good friend of the show, Lou from Florida. He's come all the way up.
From South Florida.
He's visiting from South Florida. Why don't you talk into the mic there a little
I'm not talking into the mic.
No,
How close do I got to get?
No, that's fine.
Is this close enough?
That's plenty close. I think that's too close.
Too close.
That was too close. Yeah.
How's this?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you just got to make sure you're talking into it. You know
I get it.
Because I talk right into my mic. I also have a different mic than you. I should use
It's
all
got a
the same
bigger
mics.
mic.
It's a bigger mic. I use the professional champion mic. You guys get the scrub mics. But
Scrub.
no, you're coming up fine.
It's like basement karaoke mic.
Yes, that's right. But that's how we do here. You guys get the karaoke mics. I get the professional radio host mic, and that's how we do here. But Lou's up. He's in now. Maybe tell us a little bit about yourself, Lou. I know Lou from the old. We know each other from Magic the Gathering. Really, is that how we know each other originally?
Yeah, probably.
Well, now I was thinking about that the other day. We also played Raw Deal.
Yeah.
Now, Raw Deal was a game.
That was pre-Magic.
It was a WWF game. It was a WWE yet, or was it WWF?
No, it was still WWF. It was before the conversion.
It was before the conversion, so this goes a bit back. And Lou played a little bit of that. So I kind of remember you from that. I played it very little, but I mostly played Magic. When I came back to play Magic in like 2005, Lou was playing a lot, and then we had a mutual friend. And that's how, and I've been close with Lou ever since. And then Lou moved to Florida, and he has his life out there, I guess.
Yeah.
So how's that life?
It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's a little warmer than it is. Although today it was like 59 in Florida.
I saw it, right? And the low was like 39 or something.
I know.
That's
it was
so odd.
snowing up here, though.
That was like that was your day of winter out down there.
Yeah. Now that it's over with.
Yeah.
Was that Billy Gilmore playing Magic back then? Who was that?
Yeah, it was Billy Gilmore. That was one of my stage names when I was playing Magic. I didn't use my real name. I used the name Billy Gilmore. There was a few other ones. Phil Romano, of course.
Yeah, of course.
I was still using the pseudonym Phil Romano up until a few years ago for certain things.
On the run, Elaine Chase was posting pictures of Billy Gilmore in the local post office.
Forgive my coughing. I have a bit of a cold.
Forgive him.
Cold season, but yeah, Elaine Chase. That was like one of these Magic the Gathering people. I'm sure you know Magic the Gathering, the card game. If you don't know it, you've been living under a rock for the past 20-something years.
This is pop culture.
This is a pop culture show. You should damn well know what Magic the Gathering
Research
is.
it.
Yeah. Stop
it's the forefather.
Before we spoil the Magic the Gathering for you, you better go look it up on the Googles.
It's been out for... Is it older than we are?
No. It was 93.
Was it 93?
Yeah. That was when it opened with that guy Richard Garfield, right? Was that his name?
Yeah, Richard Garfield.
Richard Garfield.
That seems right.
That was the guy that created it, and then was acquired by Wizards of the Coast, and which was subsequently acquired by Hasbro.
Yeah.
And now, but it's a good card game. It's still very popular. I think it's still very popular.
Of course.
Yeah.
They make it. I mean, they make
the
video games have helped. All the iPad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. They have all which to me seems like almost like counterintuitive to the way like our technological society is going, simply because. It's a fucking card game.
Yeah, it's a card game.
But you would think like these kids, the young kids, they're into their apps. They're into their app games, their PS4 and their Xbox One.
But they made a good transition to the card game. Not as good as like if we're talking like video card games. Just to tap on this for a second.
Sure.
Yu-Gi-Oh led the way in video card games. Like the Game Boy Yu-Gi-Oh games were great games.
Oh yeah, I like the. Remember the Pokemon?
The
Pokemon card game one for the Game Boy.
It's for the original. You're right. That was the first game. I still play that here and there now. Like,
do you? That was a good one.
The emulator, like.
Yeah. Oh, do you? Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. I like that one. That goes way back, I guess, to like 99, 2000 maybe or whatever. But that was good. But it's true. You could play a lot of Magic online and stuff, and people. There's the cockatrice, which is like a alternate it's a poor man's version of the game. You
gotta hit the ladder to play Magic online.
It's fucking expensive.
It's like incredibly
more expensive. And that's the one thing about Magic is that we were playing a couple years. What was it? Maybe 2 years back. We were playing a bit.
3 years, right.
I have a deck because we do the podcast right on my table where we used to play Magic, so I have all these Magic cards around me.
Shout out to the neutral ground game mats.
You like those, right?
23rd and 6th back in the day.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, it's 23rd or
23rd and 6th.
Okay, yeah,
it's an amazing place.
I loved Magic. Neutral Ground. Neutral Ground was a big loft in Manhattan where it was just a place where you have tournaments. It was 6,000 square feet. I remember it's a massive loft in the middle of Manhattan where you could go and just play tournaments, Magic, regular games, whatever. It was great. I spent a lot of parts of my childhood there. I have 100%. A lot of memories there. And then closed down in like 2005.
How could they? I never understood how they could afford that. It was prime location.
Prime real
it was
estate.
Right. What's over there? FIT is over there. That school.
It's like 2 blocks away from like the Flatiron building. You
Yeah,
know,
oh,
it's
right,
like
yeah, the
fucking
Flatiron, right.
like insane. You know, I know. Even as a kid, I was just like, you know, because I would never spend money in there really if I went there on a random day.
Well,
you know, I'd buy a chicken bake or
some
something.
chicken bake.
Yeah. Oh, I could go for a chicken bake right now.
Go for one of those.
Speaking of which, we're doing this episode at 3:16 in the morning right now.
3:16 in the morning. But no time's a bad time for a chicken bake.
No time's a bad time for a chicken bake or a podcast, whether it be 3 a.m. or 3 p.m. or 9 p.m. It doesn't matter. You can stuff those chicken bakes right in your gullet. They used to have all sorts of but that was it. Well, I would spend like a Saturday there, like 10 hours. And if it wasn't a tournament, I mean, I would just chill there. If it was a tournament, it might even be longer, you know, because you got to get there at like 9 and register. And
it's all day
round
affair.
starts at 10. And,
right.
And so it's take your, and then if you get late, if you're playing into like possibly the top 8. I remember one time I played in an extended, that was the time where I played Billy Gilmore. That was like,
7-0 in that PTQ.
I was doing really good. It was an extended PTQ, which is a Pro Tour qualifier. It's a qualifier tournament. It's like kind of in the same way that golf works, because golf has Pro Tours, you know?
Yeah.
So this is a Pro Tour qualifier. So if you win it's got 400 people in it.
Yeah,
so
huge.
If you win it, I think it's not even first and second. I think it's just first. I don't know.
It's just first.
Yeah, it's just first qualifies to be in the Pro Tour. You know?
Right.
So it's like you gotta be good to get into it.
And the Pro Tour, actually, if you win it, they fly you out to wherever it is. They've had them in Kuala Lumpur, Hawaii all the time.
Geneva, yeah.
And the winner gets like $30,000.
Yeah, it's or even maybe more on some of the big ones,
now
right?
it's probably
now
more.
it's probably more. The purse is
now it's not even like that. You got to pay a qualifier. You got to win a qualifier just to get in the qualifier to qualify for the Pro Tour.
It's a double qualifier now.
Double qualifier.
Wow. Yeah, they changed the format. Well, because we played the PTQ maybe a couple years ago, and I was just referring to when we were playing a little bit before. We weren't playing very competitively. I mean, we were trying, but we were getting our asses whooped. And we played the last PTQ of that format. Then they switched it. And then after that, I kind of quit. But
people devoted their lives to it. But
you have to. It's a career.
Yeah,
it's a career.
A lot of really good Magic players made the jump, and they're like incredibly successful poker players.
Yes, and that's really what you need to do. If you want to make it a career, make money, it's like, well, Magic's the great pastime, and the guys that love it, you'll always love it. I guess you'll want to play it. But at the same time, it's like, well, if you're going to make this your career, if you don't have like a business on the side or whatever the thing is, then go to poker. And a lot of the guys that were really good at Magic first, they went on to poker. Like, I'll give you the biggest example that I know. I guess is Bryn Kenny.
David Williams.
Which one is that?
David Williams came in second in the World Series of Poker.
Did he? He was a Magic guy?
A bunch of years ago.
Well, Bryn Kenny, what did he do? He did like 18th in the World Series of Poker.
Yeah, he's always
First,
up
like
there.
800,000. Yeah,
and he just won like the some late night World Poker Tour. Won a couple $100,000 there. I mean,
I used to whoop his ass at the old our old card store in our neighborhood, Eltingville. He lived in Long Island, but we would have the JSS, which is the Junior Super Series. It was like the PTQ version, but for the 16 and under crowd.
You didn't play for money; you played for college.
You played for college scholarship. So whoever won the PTQ, the JSS qualifier got $1,000 scholarship, and then whoever won the big thing got I think $10,000 scholarship or whatever. It wasn't crazy.
Pay for 10 minutes.
Pay for 10 minutes of your university. Yeah, exactly.
NYU. That'll get you in the front door. What
paid
else
for
you
your
got?
books. Yeah, exactly.
Like one book to liberal arts.
Yeah, it gives you your liberal arts book. Doesn't pay for the specialization books, but I remember that particular kid. He used to come to the JSS qualifiers at our store, and now he's like a big poker player.
Yeah,
doing the
a lot of people we grew up with. You could look. You could go on like late night TV or the World Series of Poker.
See them.
You see them at the table.
Our own good personal friend Harrison Beach. That's really the person that we know. That that was our
and Lonnie also
my friend. Oh yeah, Lonnie Harwood. I
think she might be the top woman player right now.
She's like the top woman player, right? She used to play at what's it called?
Harrison's. When we played at Harrison's.
She played Harrison's, and what was the one on Manor Road? She played there.
Their games?
No. Before.
Before the J&B?
J&B cards, right?
Oh, J&B.
Yeah, I think she was at J&B cards. But if you look up the card game world, you'll see these names. They're up there. So they're people that took that Magic, that's kind of strategic, thought process. They were good at that, and then made it into a career playing 100%. Poker. So it's possible. But in the end, like we said, you hadn't made Magic a career. It is expensive pastime. Like I was just pointing at this. I have this deck of cards here. I spent like $1,500 when I bought this deck a couple years back, maybe 2 or 3 years back. So it is an expensive pastime, but it's fun, and in the end, for if you have a career, that's what it is. It's a pastime. But okay, moving on from magic.
Let's take a 10-second spot here for the Ecto Cooler.
All right, we want to take
some
a little
delicious Ecto Cooler. I
don't
know if you could hear me sip it.
Talk into that.
You still can't hear me. I have to have this microphone in my mouth in order for you to understand.
You got to be close to it. It's
it's a one-directional microphone.
Mono-directional mic that you mono-directional. Is there a switch on it? Maybe
you got a switch. Am I off?
No, you're not off. But
am I off? Can you hear me?
But I can hear you when you're close to it.
All right, so I'll stay close to it and sip the Ecto Cooler through the corner of my mouth.
Go ahead. Yeah, we hear it.
This is delicious, by the way.
It is delicious.
This is like 15 years in the making.
Yeah.
Although that's a lie. I had one last week. But that one was delicious.
Last week. But they're so today right now it's December 31st. So January 1st they stopped the production of it, and or they stopped at least shipping it to stores. So that'll be the end of Ecto Cooler, and this is the year of Ecto Cooler. I'll literally remember 2016 as the summer of Ecto Cooler when it came back, and I would have it for lunch like a fucking little kid. I'd be going to the store buying it, and it really was fun. And beyond that, it is just still it's like a delicious drink. It was the only thing I would drink. I don't drink soda really, so it was really like the only other thing I was drinking other than water.
Yeah, 2016 remembered for Ecto Cooler. And the second most deadliest year in history after 1655 or 1665.
David Bowie, Alan Rickman, Abe Vigoda, Tony Burton, Nancy Reagan, George Kennedy, Joe Santos, Ken Howard, Gary Shandling, Patty Duke, Doris Roberts.
You might Castro.
You might not know the names, but if I showed you the face, you're gonna know probably almost every one of these fucking people. Prince. You said Fidel Castro, of course. Alan Young, Muhammad Ali, Anton Yelchin, Gary Marshall, Stephen Hill. Now, those are names that you might not get at first, but then you might realize afterwards. You might be, oh, yeah, I know what they've done, or I know their face.
Yeah, I'm looking at one of these.
Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder.
Robert Vaughn, Florence Henderson, Alan Thicke, who's young. Zsa Gabor, she just died. George Michael, and the two ones that really hit it for me beyond is of course Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, and her mom Debbie Reynolds. I mean,
100%.
Unbelievably, I was very saddened by that. I'm saddened by them all. It's crazy, all these legends and talents,
nonstop,
unbelievable, just nonstop.
Bowie
and Prince and crazy.
George Michael, the singer, not from Arrested Development.
No, not George Michael from Arrested Development. George Michael, the 80s singer. He had the Faith album.
Gotta have faith.
That's the one. But really, when Carrie Fisher had that heart attack, I really thought that she was. When I seen it, I was like, she'll pull through. She should pull through. She's
60. She was
60. And I wasn't surprised that she had the heart attack. It's like, well, that's what 30 years of partying cocaine with John Belushi and all these other Hollywood maniacs.
She's at the Viper Room, right?
Wherever she was. I mean, she could have been at the Viper Room. But Viper Room was probably a little after her time period, yeah. Because she was 70s and 80s. Viper Room's late 80s to 90s. But even though she probably was there. But, hanging out with Belushi. And she was engaged to Dan Aykroyd.
Was she really?
She was engaged to Dan Aykroyd right around the time that... I don't know if it was around the time they did Blues Brothers. Probably around the time they did Blues Brothers. Because that was 1980, I think. So yeah, she was engaged to Dan Aykroyd, and beyond that, she married Paul Simon. Then divorced him. She married the next guy,
the
singer-songwriter Paul Simon. She was married to him for years. That was like her long-term husband. And then she married this other guy, Lord. I think he was like an agent. And
Lord?
That's his last name.
The singer?
No,
from Australia?
No. Let's see his name. I know he's an agent or whatever.
Lord. She's like an A-list marrier too. She's done well in the marriage game.
Yeah, done fairly well in the marriage game. Paul Simon, where the fuck? Why isn't it showing what her husband?
My sister, she was mentioning on Christmas Day. She's like,
Brian Lord. His name was
Brian Lord. She's like, I bet Carrie Fisher died, and they're just waiting until after Christmas to tell everybody.
Really?
And I thought it sounded prepreposterous at the time. Like, she's not like a first lady. She's not going to affect the national security.
Why would they?
But she literally died. They announced she died like
the next day.
As as soon as the clock turned to the 26th, they announced it.
I woke up the 26th, and that was the news. It was like, what? He's fucking serious. So I was really upset about that. But Brian Lord, her third husband, or second husband, I think, he was an agent. He divorced her and then married a man.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. So
the old McGreevy.
The old McGreevy trick. But they had a daughter. Her name is Billie Lourd. She's an actress. She was in the Force Awakens with her. She's like a background character, one of the background rebel characters or whatever. But she's in the movie. And then the very next day, Debbie Reynolds. Now this is Hollywood royalty. This lady was in Singing in the Rain. She was the unsinkable Molly Brown. She's done tons of other stuff, like Hollywood 50s royalty, 50s and 60s royalty.
Wow.
Dies the very next day planning the funeral plans with her son, Carrie's brother Todd Fisher, and she has a stroke and then dies.
Wow.
Insane. Died like practically of a broken heart. So that whole story, so since then I just couldn't get over the Carrie thing. So the night that Carrie died, I was working like kind of overnight. So I just put on a bunch of YouTube videos of her. I was just like, yeah, I would think of Carrie as like, because I had the chance to take a picture with her at Star Wars Celebration last year, and I was like, cool. Should I do Carrie Fisher or should I do Mark Hamill? I was like, I'm gonna take the picture with Mark Hamill, because that's he's Luke Skywalker. That's like the kind of like an idol. So and I was like, oh, maybe next year I'll do the Carrie Fisher, and that would have been this year. That would have been 2017 because I'm gonna go to it again this year in Orlando.
It's in Orlando
this year in Orlando. Yeah, I'll come down and see you. We'll meet up.
I'll come up to go.
You
can find out if Mark Hamill really is missing a hand.
We'll go see. We'll find out. Although I had a picture with him, so I think he's got his hand.
Could be a robotic hand.
I think it's robotic. But it's in April like 13th to 16th.
Oh, that's perfect for tax season.
It's right when your tax season like ends.
I'll have to plan ahead.
When does your tax season end?
The 15th.
I know it's the 15th, but is the 15th a Friday this year?
I don't know. I don't plan that far ahead.
Okay, well because you could come down the weekend for the 16th and the 17th.
Oh, is it? So then
it's like the 13th to the 17th. The weekend is the 16th and the 17th. So I guess it's the 15th on a Friday.
If the 15th is on a Friday, and this is just boring tax talk, but if the 15th is on a Friday, the filing deadline is actually the 18th. Because
Friday, even on a Friday they don't count it?
Well, Friday.
I thought it was like if it's on a Saturday they make the filing date deadline the Monday.
They do that also, but April 16th in Washington, D.C. is celebrated as Emancipation Day. It's the day that Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation.
This is all very interesting.
Yeah, this is all interesting stuff. So that's the reason.
No, wait, the 15th is on a Saturday.
Okay, so that's all moot.
So what's all?
But
moot?
it's on. So it's still on this. So the reason that it would be on the 18th, because the 18th is the latest that the filing deadline could be. But anyways, it would appear that the filing date is April 17th.
Okay, so it'd be Monday then. So you're no go. You'd be busy.
We'll see how it go. It's South Florida taxes. It's like a little different than Manhattan taxes.
Yeah, so, they used to be Lou and Steve, who was on the very first episode. They're accountants. They were accountants in Manhattan. So when busy season comes along, these kids do not exist.
Yeah, nowhere near to be found.
Yeah, but so it's not set in stone yet. But I want to go down. Unfortunately, the fucking 4-day pass is sold out, so now I got to buy individual days. So which are of course more expensive, but I'll do it. I don't care that.
So did you get a picture with her or no?
No, I got a picture of Mark Hamill.
Oh, you didn't get a picture with her at all?
No.
Did you see her? How'd she look?
Yeah. I seen her from a distance. But I saw her and Billy D. Williams and the midget the midget that just died from a distance. What's his name?
He died too?
Yeah, what's his name? Baker.
Yeah.
Richard Ricky fuck.
2016 had no requirements. They was coming after one and all.
Kenny Baker.
Tall, short, skinny, fat.
They were coming after anybody. Did not matter.
I mean, it took Castro.
It took Castro finally, I know.
Like the CIA has been trying to kill Castro for 70 years.
I know.
Or so they say.
Yeah,
that might be different. But in 2016 got them. I just want to say one thing. If I was Betty White, I'd stay inside my house
That's
today.
been going around Facebook.
Yeah, because it's coming. 2016 is coming after
I know.
Betty White.
It was funny. I think it was like College Humor or one of them. They did a video. It was like a horror movie.
Oh my
God! Yeah, this thing happened too. England left.
England left Europe.
Why? It's just like all the things that happened, and then I think at the end they was grab her by the pussy.
It was Trump.
And then it was like a horror movie kind of like trailer. And then 2016.
It was scary. I watched it beneath my covers. I know. Like, this is a scary year. Like
I was shivering in my hipster boots.
2016 is like the new 27. Everyone was dropping at 27. It's
age
the curse.
27. That
Janis
was the
Joplin, Jimi Hendrix.
That's
Kurt
Forever
Cobain.
27.
Yeah, Forever 27.
They're Forever 2016.
Forever 2016.
Oh my God!
They're gonna build monuments to this.
So many like massive losses, But so I was really taken back. So that night when Carrie died, so I'm watching like, these like 5-minute YouTube videos of her on like Johnny Carson and David Letterman and like other interviews with her, and then also the special that her and her mom Debbie Reynolds did I think about 4 or 5 years ago, because Debbie was short on money. But she, because she got screwed on all
Crazy. The royalties and whatnot.
Well, what had happened was that if we want to go into it, no, I guess we could go through the backstory, because Debbie Reynolds was like royalty in Hollywood. She was married to the singer-crooner Eddie Fisher. They were like the Brad and
Brangelina.
Not Angelina. They were like Brad and Jennifer Aniston.
Ooh.
And then they were good friends with Elizabeth Taylor and her husband at the time, Mike Todd, who was like an executive in Hollywood or whatever. So they were the four of them were like this, fingers crossed. They were very close couples. And the guy, Mike Todd, Elizabeth Taylor's husband, dies in a plane crash. He dies.
Wow.
So Eddie Fisher flies over to console Elizabeth Taylor. Of course, he goes and consoles her. All right, he bangs her.
Oh, really?
He leaves Debbie Reynolds, Carrie Fisher's mom, and marries Liz Taylor. So that was like that was like the original Hollywood scandal. You know, that was like the original one. Like, forget the fucking Kardashians, forget any of this other bullshit that goes on today. Imagine that in the 1950s when everyone's fucking, it was religious and
I wonder if
so
Harvey Levin was on that.
Harvey Levin, I don't think he was alive yet. Or maybe he was probably, I'm sure he was alive, but
sipping out of his little cup,
sipping out of his sippy cup in Manhattan, wherever he lived. But so that was like the original thing. And so Debbie Reynolds had remarried to this guy. He was a business executive. Let me see what his name is real quick. And now she was worth about, and this is like Harry Carl. So she married him in the 60s, 1960. She was married to him for 13 years. So that's kind of the father that Carrie grew up with. Eddie Fisher, her real father, was kind of absentee. He wasn't really there at all. And she has a younger brother, 2 years younger, called Todd Fisher. Todd, after this guy, Mike Todd, who died in that crash.
Jeez.
And so they were all very close. And so this guy, Harry Carl, who was like, he was like a financier. Let me see what he did real quick. He was a businessman, whatever. He was handling her like finances or whatever. At the time in the 60s, she was apparently worth like $100 million.
Are you kidding?
She was worth like $100 million. Seriously, like a massive, insane amount of money. So she, figured he'd be all right. He'll handle the finances. The guy's a businessman. Like he'll put the money for safekeeping. Turns out he blows through his money and her money like gambling and
pulled
shit.
a Rocky Five on her.
Pulled a Rocky Five. I was doing smart business. It's not my fault that I lost all your money and your assets.
Power of attorney.
Power of
attorney. Sign here.
I thought I was doing smart business. I signed right there.
What do I know?
I gave the guy the deed to the house. I thought it was smart business. I don't know. What do I know? Yeah, so he pulled that, lost her whole fortune pretty much. They get divorced. She, time goes by, she has to tour and shit. She makes her money back, like through royalties and stuff. She's able to survive, whatever, but not as obscenely comfortable as maybe that she should have been.
Yeah.
In the 80s, she marries her third and final husband, Richard Hamlet. This guy's like a real estate guy. So she thought, she only knew him for like 6 months. He's like, will you marry me? She says, fuck it, I'm in my 50s. I guess I'll marry you.
Right.
So she marries him. Turns out this guy's a worse scumbag. He's like using her money to like funnel shit and fund fucking real estate ventures. And then there's like a foreclosed casino in Las Vegas.
Of course.
And he's like, you gotta buy it. We gotta buy it. So they buy it in like the 80s for like $200,000. They get it dirt cheap. Cost them millions to renovate it. She turns into like the Debbie Reynolds casino or whatever. She's of course performing there or whatever and stuff. It's not doing that well. And apparently on the opening show that she did, she's doing the opening show on stage. This guy's her third husband's in the crowd. He gets up and walks out in the middle of the show. Yeah, and she was like mad, taken aback by that.
I bet.
Things were like rocky. Turns out he's another one. All three of these guys were cheating on her regardless. So this guy had a mistress too. He was cheating on her.
Of course.
So apparently she was ready to be like, I think she called him and was like, I want a divorce. And he was like, stay right there. So he comes into the room, like it was like, I guess in the hotel or whatever, and the high floors or whatever. And he kept telling her, come outside to the balcony. Come outside to the balcony. Come outside to the balcony. And she's like, that balcony is fucking like 3 foot by like 5 feet.
He was trying to toss her over.
That's she was like, in that moment, I felt like
wow, all
his troubles would have been gone the way he found it. So she was able to like run out and like escape him.
Yeah.
And then finally, when she sat him down like in a public place to sign the divorce papers, he admits like, I never loved you, and doesn't matter anymore anyway. He's like, I transferred all your assets into my name.
Jeez.
So he apparently all her like assets, her homes and stuff, transferred into her name. But apparently lawyers got involved and she was able to get some of it back, whatever. But so that was it.
Sounds like a Lifetime movie. This whole
I
whole
know,
affair.
yeah. She wrote a book about it. I know. Not everyone know. Everybody knows. And when I say everybody, people that are known into the Hollywood thing. Not people our age, but my mom knows all about it and stuff. And
really?
Older people. Oh yeah, my mom knows.
I mean, we know Singing in the Rain.
Singing in the Rain.
Watch it in
exactly.
school,
I mean, exactly. I watched that in my film class.
Classic movie though.
Yeah, it's a classic. You could go to the Disney World in Disney Hollywood Studios, and they got the great movie ride, and that's one of the Sing in the Rain is one of the things. If you. So it's a thing ingrained in old Hollywood pop culture, very much so, and that scandal was very much ingrained in that, and but not so much this like third husband, this shit, especially because like she feared for her life from this fucking scumbag and stuff. But no, so she had it rough, and then, but in the end, so she since 2011, I was watching this Oprah thing where she was a little. She wasn't in the best financial shape. They have expensive Beverly Hills homes to upkeep.
Right.
So she had what she did keep was this nice collection of Hollywood memorabilia. The original ruby slippers.
Wow. She had those?
The dress Marilyn Monroe wore.
The white dress?
The white dress of the thing. She owned all the original stuff. The Cleopatra, good stuff right there. The Cleopatra thing that Liz Taylor wore, she owned all the original stuff. So she ended up doing an auction, liquidated all it, like pocketed maybe $10 million off of everything. So she was able to like survive at her ending days or whatever. And she lived right next to Carrie. They had houses right next to each other in Beverly Hills. And Paul McCartney lived up the block.
Yeah.
It was just like the super...
Well, you said Carrie Fisher. I mean, I didn't know that she even had a lot of money. I figured, what else did she do besides...
But that's what I was wondering.
Star Wars. You said she lived in a fancy house in Beverly Hills.
Well, it wasn't super fancy. You could check out pictures on the internet. Look up Carrie Fisher Beverly Hills home, and there was an article done... a while back, I think in 2003 or whatever, that shows you all the pictures. It was like this Spanish architecture, like ranch, open rooms, very nice. Yeah, like maybe half-acre of land. Very beautiful, but in the middle of 90210.
Yeah.
So, but the thing was that so I look it up on Zillow what she paid for it. She paid $13 million for it in 1993.
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
we were talking about this the other day. It was like, well, how could she? What the fuck kind of money is she worth? But now, granted, she did do those. She did a lot of writing in the 80s. She did small roles in movies. She was in. Having Harry Met Sally, small roles, but she did a lot of writing. She had the book Postcards from the Edge. That was adapted to a movie. So things like that.
Never heard of that, though.
Postcards for the Edge?
Yeah.
Or that's popular. Is that? Yeah, well, it was a semi-autobiographical. It was a book that she had wrote about a daughter that was like kind of coming to terms with her mother who was a star, like a star-limited
age. Her.
Yeah, it was a semi-autobiographical.
Right.
And they adapted it into a movie, so she got all the the money from that or whatever. But I don't know how much that could have been. It was a popular movie and it was received well, but I don't know how much profit she could have took from it. But she's done multiple books since then or whatever else. But I mean, $13 million to spend on a house is a lot of money.
100%.
Yeah, in 93.
93.
Yeah. So I look up the value now. That value is only worth $6 million now.
Are you kidding me?
That's what it says on Zillow.
Wow.
That's pretty accurate. So accurate within $1 million.
Yeah,
so it's accurate within $1 million, and it's like, wow, you would think if you're going to buy a $13 million house in 93, you would hope that it would appreciate, or at least you break even and not lose like that much money over time.
Yeah, a new hope.
Yeah, it's a new hope.
I was thinking about this earlier because she like we said, she didn't do much outside of Star Wars that I know of, at least.
Just the novels.
You think, was it hard for her to break out of that character role? Like, was she always, like, no matter what, was she always Princess Leia?
I think it more or less had to do with her addiction in the 80s.
Oh yeah, that's true.
She was fucking wild in the 80s. Drugs, using but she's. I mean, like I've been watching a lot of interviews, so I'm well versed in this. And in fact, I'm almost finished with her newest book, The Princess Diaries, the one that she talks about how that she had the affair with Harrison Ford in 1976 during the filming of the first Star Wars.
Classic.
Yeah, so she had just put that out literally a month ago. The book was released, I think, November 22nd. She dies a month later. It's crazy.
November 22nd. JFK. That's
that
why she was doomed from the start.
She was doomed from the start. Let me see if it was November the 2nd.
But yeah, I would imagine it would be difficult for some of these actors, actresses to break out of
originally published November 22nd, 2016.
To break out of these roles that they're supremely known for. Like, I was just watching this movie Hollywoodland to jump off topic for a bit.
Sure.
But it was about, a similar thing to the mother, like old school Hollywood, the guy George Reeves,
who
played Superman on TV, and he couldn't break out of that. Although he was a good actor, he couldn't break out. He was typecast. He was Superman on TV, and he would never be able to do anything else. He ended up killing himself. Well, that's the story that's been told.
Right there. I mean, now I know who that is. George Reeves was the original Superman on the 1930s television show, black and white. I think it was 1930s, right? Whatever.
In that area. No relation, though, to Christopher Reeves.
No relation, which is a little odd, right? No relation to Christopher Reeves. George Reeves was the original one. And essentially, the first I had heard about it was in the 90s on an episode of Unsolved Mysteries.
Really?
There was an episode of Unsolved Mysteries about it because there was a mystery involving the circumstances of his death. And they say, like you say, it was suicide. I'm assuming Hollywoodland said it was a suicide, or they kind of
that's how it ended. It was like they showed it like a couple of different ways. The movie, it was not a bad movie. I think Rotten Tomatoes gave it like Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it's got a 68%.
68%. Yeah, it's on HBO Go right now.
It was just on the other day. I watched the end of it. Like I said, I was just saying to you before the scene when the little kid has the gun or whatever.
Right.
Better watch it with that gun. Cause
bullets don't bounce off of Christopher Reeves.
No, they do not.
Or George Reeves.
Or George Reeves, by that matter. Yeah, but exactly that old Hollywood and you dealing with that stuff and the fleeting fame and the getting typecast and Carrie talks a lot about that in her novels about how she saw her parents, because her parents were at the top of their game in the early 50s, right around the time she was born. She was born in the mid 50s. So when she grew up, their stars were fading, and she saw how her mother particularly had to deal with that. Getting older, getting less roles, becoming like kind of a second-rate, actress. So you see that, and she talks about that so much about how, fame is not something you actually get. It's more that something you try to grab and hold on to tight, but inevitably it fades.
It's fleeting.
It's fleeting fame. Fame is always fleeting. It's never something that you lock onto permanently. It's something that your star will eventually shine less.
If you think about it, her star was fleeting for 60 years. That must have been tough on the psyche. The mother, right now.
Debbie, sure,
Debbie Reynolds.
Yeah.
If she was already on the downfall in the late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah, the 60s, sure.
She just died a couple days ago. That's a long time to be on the downtrend of your life.
Absolutely,
career.
And think about all the personal deals, issues that she dealt with 3 husbands that didn't work out. Never really had like a love. She got the 2 kids out of Eddie Fisher, the first husband. In fact, apparently she had said in one interview that after she had Carrie, they stopped having sex. They had Carrie. And then it was no more sex after that. So obviously he was probably cheating or whatever. He's had to get his rocks off.
Of course.
But she kind of knew that the marriage was failing anyway, regardless to the him going with Elizabeth Taylor or whatever. So she did get to bang him once more. She's like, I want another kid. She was very pragmatic. It's like, I want another kid.
Right.
So she got him drunk one night and had sex with him, and then she like kind of flipped upside down to make sure the juices stayed in her. Yeah, she said this. This
is not a PG podcast.
No, it never is here. But she went out of her way to make sure she had that kid, and she did. She had the second kid.
That's what girls do to like NBA and NFL players. Like,
they make
crazy things.
They make sure they're most fertile.
Right.
Did I take my fertility drugs?
Right. They bring coolers. Like they time the time of the month.
Time of the month. This is my my most fertile moment right now.
This is my shot.
Exactly, yeah. So she wanted a second kid with him or whatever, and but didn't have any other kids with any of these other scumbags. But yeah, imagine living 84 years, and then and nobody, that's a thing that people say. It's like nobody wants to outlive their children, So I guess she totally didn't want to either, and just said,
"I'm out."
I'm out. Yeah. So it kind of died of a broken heart. She was going over the funeral plans with her son, Carrie's brother Todd, and she just said, I miss Carrie. She was feeling not bad. She had a stroke right there. Died, I think, at the hospital or on the way to the hospital. So crazy, but yeah, I mean, they've had a crazy life, and Carrie had quite a crazy life, and with the drugs in the 80s, hanging out with Belushi, even John Belushi, the guy who died of a fucking speedball in 1980, whatever. You know what he tells her? He's like, you need to slow down. He told her that.
Slow down, John.
You need to
Belushi.
slow down. He's shooting speedballs.
Animal House, and he's telling her to slow down.
Smashing guitars against the wall and shooting speedballs, and he's telling her to slow down. But yeah, so she had a wild life, and even as of late, she said she was clean. But the New York Post, right before The Force Awakens came out, so it was like a year ago.
Page 6.
the page 6, they had a video of her, like, you know, paparazzi. She drives up to this house, walks in.
Yeah.
A couple minutes later, walks out, gets into the car, drives away. At a red light, they're following her. She's bending her head down like multiple times,
Right.
and it's like, what is she fucking doing?
She probably dropped her change on the floor.
Is that what you think? It looked like she's fucking sniffing the blow that she just bought. But I don't know. It's very presumptuous, but that's what it looked like.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, maybe they cut it differently and made it look more like, you know.
They cut it differently. You get it?
That's a pun. We love puns here. They cut it all right. But, yeah, so I've kind of looked at her because she's a little crazy. She was a little crazy. She was very outspoken about mental health and those kind of things. You know, she had to have shock therapy at one point. She could never sleep.
Shock therapy?
She had electroshock therapy, and she said it worked. I don't know if it was for depression or sleep, but for whatever, it worked, she said.
Yeah, it'd probably numb you out.
It'd numb you out, all right. But, I mean, she was crazy. And like I said, I've been listening on Audible, the Princess Diaries book, and she does the sound, the overdub or whatever, not the overdub.
She reads it.
She reads it out loud, and it's funny because Lou said is like, what about her slurred speech? And I was like, it's a little slurred.
You gotta get used to it.
You get used to it after about 10 minutes.
Rosetta Stone for Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, the Princess Diaries. It's like that's how she's talking, because that's how she talks in her old age. But it was kind of sad, and the book itself, and also
especially listening to it post-mortem.
Yeah, because that's one of the. I wanted to read it anyway, but once I heard that she was doing it, I was like, oh wow, this will, probably hit a little more closer to like home, because I was legitimately upset about it. I mean, I've been watching Star Wars since I'm 6 years old. I know who this, like Carrie Fisher. I've known known that name since I'm a little kid.
Huge part of your life.
Yeah, it's a massive part of my life. I know who she is, and then anytime that would get brought up, my mom will whip out the, so that's Debbie Fisher. She's Debbie Reynolds' daughter, and she did the Singing in the Rain. So I know that stuff for it. So for this to happen, my mom was more taken aback by Debbie Reynolds dying, actually.
Of course.
But I was like, yeah, she was 84 as opposed to 60. But no losses. Can't minimize any of the losses, but it it does suck. But that was definitely the one for 2016 that got to me the most. Pretty unfortunate, definitely unfortunate. And now she's not going to be in episode 9. Or are they going to give her the Rogue One treatment?
Dump her in there.
They're going to pop her in there with the. They're going to do what they did for. What's his name? Grand Moff Tarkin.
They did it for her too, though.
Peter Cushing, and they did do it. They did do it for her. They made her 40 years younger.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen... Well, I would hope at least listen to the Rogue One spoiler episode. That was the last episode. Me and Andrew did an hour and a half. But, so I wonder what they'll do. She already completed filming on episode 8. And you would assume that they had her written in for episode 9, depending on what happens here. So, I don't know. It's crazy. You got anything to say about that?
About Carrie Fisher and Dead?
About anything.
Episode 9?
About any of it, yeah.
Well, no, we were talking... Funny thing about... We were talking about episode 9. We were talking about the 9-pack of the DVD,
sure.
the triple trilogy DVD pack.
Yeah.
Because Disney doesn't own the rights to the first 3 movies' DVDs.
They don't own the distribution rights. So 20th Century Fox still owns the distribution rights to 5 and 6. That means The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi till 2020.
But not 4?
A New Hope they own in perpetuity.
Oh.
They own it forever.
Fox owns it in perpetuity?
Fox owns A New Hope for distribution rights in perpetuity.
Wow.
Yeah. So Disney never got their claws on that. Disney will get the other 2 in 2020 when that contract is up.
So who do they have to license it from Fox?
They either they might have to do some sort of combo deal. I have no idea how that would work.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but so if they wanted to do like a box set, because they did do the complete saga set.
I have that, the 6.
They did, they did that in 2012 or whatever.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Out. Yeah, I don't even have that one. That Blu-ray set. That was a nice one. It was like the Tatooine box set.
Yeah, it was nice. It was a nice box set.
Then they've redone them now. They have the individual aluminum sets with each face on them.
Right.
The Emperor's face for Return of the Jedi.
Kill him.
Yeah, Darth Maul's face for the first one, I think. So they have those. But if they were gonna do like a 9 movie box set, I mean, I would assume that they would do it probably by maybe 2021 or something.
Well, the reason we brought it up is because Phil had mentioned that you mentioned that they didn't get the rights until May of 2020. I figured, okay, episode 9, December of 2019.
Right.
Figure a couple months later they'll do a little box set, all 9. And then you get all the people who already own the 6 and the 3 and own the same movie 10 times over. But,
Sure. Well, you gotta say, yeah. Why not? You're not gonna buy the same movie 50 times.
Of course, you have to have it in every single
platform,
format. Yeah, VHS.
VHS.
VHS is gonna make a comeback, by the way.
Just like vinyl did.
Yeah. Like everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, you got your VHS player," but they probably don't. I mean, vinyl will last, for at least
as long as you keep them. Yeah.
Yeah. VHSs though, I don't know how that.
The tape
film
gets a little warped. Yeah,
little film will get.
Yeah. I know. I have my original VHSs to the Star Wars ones. I don't have a working VCR anywhere though.
Yeah, who does?
I know. I think we have one upstairs that I don't use, but I don't have one here.
Like you're taking a chance every time you put a VHS.
I know. You never know what's gonna happen. I know. You're taking a gamble.
And it's crazy. We grew up right in like. I don't want to say the cusp, because we had VHSs for a large part of our lives.
We had VHSs for a while.
It's probably not half and half at this point, but. What would you say? Like, when was I remember the first VHS I had was the first DVD I had was The Sixth Sense.
Oh, was it? That was so that's like 99, 2000.
That was when it was. So, 10, 11 years,
I remember the first DVD that I rented. I presumed that you could rent them.
Yeah, I remember now that you're right.
So it was Blockbuster. So what I did was that I thought my computer had a DVD player in it. So what I did was I rented GoldenEye on DVD. I was like, oh, my computer's got a DVD player, right? So this is like 98. So I rented GoldenEye and the James Bond movie. So I rented it and I put it in the CD, the optical drive of my computer, and so nothing was happening. So what I did was I called. It was a Gateway computer. It wasn't even Dell yet. So it was Gateway. So I called them and I'm on the phone with this guy for like 20 minutes. Like, oh, did you check this? Or, well, let's check. Like the old school, like not even like, what's your part number? Like, so in the end, he was like, well, does the drive say DVD on it? And I was like, no. He's like, oh, it doesn't have a DVD. After like 20 minutes of being on the phone with that guy.
I'm surprised they even made them in computers at that point. Like, I remember the old DVD players were tremendous.
Yeah, I know, they were thick fucking things. I mean, I just for some reason presumed that it did, but it didn't. Whatever. But yeah, they didn't come more prevalent until maybe after 2000. Like more. And I think when I first got a DVD player, my first DVD player might have been a fucking PS2. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't really. So really, until
PS2 was what, 2001?
Yeah, right. PS2 was 2001.
In that area, I remember. Because I'm trying to remember.
Whenever GTA 3 came out, that was when I got it.
Yeah, GTA 3, SmackDown was on
October 2001.
Yeah, so right around there.
That was when I got it. Yeah, so that was when I got a DVD player. And before that, it was VHSs. So for like 13 years of my life, I used VHS. I'm 28 now. I'm going to be 29. So, yeah. So I think more of my life now, I guess I've been having DVDs.
Yeah.
But VHS, I used them long throughout the 90s. I wasn't one of these people that was like on the cutting edge of things,
Right.
Like, oh, gotta get DVDs, because I think DVDs did come out in like the mid to earlier 90s, but they weren't like widespread, It took years to.
You gotta let people work out the kinks.
Gotta work out the
kinks.
kinks.
Like everyone would buy, let me buy the first
generation.
PlayStation, the first Xbox, and it's
always
like filled with bugs.
Filled with bugs, the fucking hard drive failure, and all sorts of other bugs and failures. Yeah.
Speaking of failures, do you remember when what was it? The HD DVD and the Blu-rays were going
battled.
Sure.
See, I worked at Best Buy at that time.
Oh, you did, right?
I worked at Best Buy in 2008, so that was right around the time that battle was like prevalent, and like it was the back and forth between the HD DVD and the Xbox 360
right.
and the Blu-ray player and the PS4, and you like little by little, day by day, you'd see more people care about like Blu-rays, and and then it became just like very painfully obvious that Blu-ray was the one.
Blu-rays also had a nicer color to it.
Yeah, people just complained in general, like regardless of the color hues they were talking about.
No, the color of the box.
Oh, you took
the Blu-ray had a nice blue.
The blue?
The HD DVD had like a dark maroon.
Yeah.
Like I'm a fan of a light maroon,
well,
but like a dark maroon is too much.
See, with me, I'm kind of like a purist with that. I kind of at the very beginning I was like, well, HD DVD, isn't that the next step? That kind of makes sense, Right. I was like, what is this Blu-ray? Where are they getting that from? Like HD DVD, I get it, high definition DVD. It's the shit that we've been using for years. So it's like, well, I guess that makes sense. So Blu-ray, I kind of was like, what? But then again, I think a Blu-ray had better resolution or better bit rate or whatever. Yeah. Blu-ray in the end was the better. Bill
platform. Gates lost.
Bill Gates and his Microsoft idea lost.
Probably still make billions off these. Probably sold out to to Sony and to the
Sony. Yeah, exactly. They're those other corporations are subsidiaries and whatnot. But now Xbox Ones come with Blu-ray players.
I think they all. I mean, I can't imagine anything not coming with a Blu-ray player at this point.
Because they don't sell HD DVDs anymore. Right?
No, I haven't seen HD. But do they even sell regular DVDs anymore?
Yeah.
I haven't been into Best Buy in a minute.
You could go into like a Target and see them on like the shit shelves for fucking $5 a pop. You know. Yeah, they still sell the DVDs.
right. You go to the CD bodegas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like what is it? Daddy Daycare.
Yeah.
You get like $4.99. Comes with a free Pepsi.
When I was in Arizona with my boys, Matt and Allie, friends of ours.
Twins of ours.
Twins of ours.
Phil and I don't have kids together.
We don't
just
have kids
laying
together.
out.
They're friends of ours that are twins. And so we rented a big van that had the mommy DVD player. So we had to do these like drives from fucking Tempe or Phoenix, like all the way to like Page, Arizona, which is like 5 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
So we stopped at one rest stop, and like my boy Matt goes into the store, comes out with like 5 like shitty $2 DVDs, these terrible movies.
The worst.
He's like, look what I got, erectile destruction or something, some like awful like garbage.
Erectile destruction.
Yeah, it was just awful. I was like, what is this shit? I was like, and I was driving, so I was like, listen, you just want to put it on, by all means, go fucking put it on. I don't care. He never used them. He bought like 5 of them and then relaunch
good coasters though. At the end of the day,
quality $2 coasters to put their drinks on while we're doing the drive. But yeah, so they do indeed still make DVDs, but as far as HD DVDs, I guess not.
Speaking of long drives, those DVDs are to the wayside. But speaking of long drives, so I was telling you, I had like 4 hours of driving time today. I went upstate New York, and I listened to those Plinkett reviews you were telling me about. So just to give you a layout, like I was never super into Star Wars. Watched them, never.
You seem to be more of a fan now, or
now
into
I
it
am.
now.
I mean, I've always been a Lord of the Rings, like love Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, you're a guy of those.
Huge Lord of the Rings fan.
Definitely huge Lord of the Rings fan. I mean, I like Lord of the Rings, but I'm a Star Wars guy.
Yeah, you guys were always like more like Star Wars, like quoting the lines, etc. And I went to see obviously the first 3 in the theaters. I remember we went
to the prequels.
You're right, the second 3.
Whatever.
The prequels.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right. So I just recently watched all 6 of them again because in preparation for Rogue One, I was like, I got some time. Like, let me watch them. And I was like, all right, the first 3 aren't terrible. They get bashed a lot, especially, I hear you guys on the podcast, like, talking down on them. Although you do give them a little more credit than Sean.
I give them more credit. Does Sean badmouth them? Because
does he?
The thing is that with me, like the internet is hard on them.
Destroys them.
The internet is bad on them, and I get it. You got a lot of these film snobs out there, and Plinkett is the forefront of that.
Oh yeah.
Along with the guy that did the movie George, the People versus George Lucas.
Oh,
you can
yeah,
also watch that.
He's a Swedish guy.
He's like Swedish, Alexander, whatever. He's European of some sort.
Swedish fish.
I think he's Swedish, but he's a good guy. And but those are like the guys on the forefront of the prequels sucking or whatever. And but Plinkett's really the top guy in there. And beyond that, all the other like movie reviewer guys, whether it be Stuckman or Johns or Schmoes Blow or who
Schmoes Blow.
Schmoes no, I met those guys. They're actually nice guys, but. Any of those guys, most of the, cinematic rectum or whatever the most of them will bash the prequels. Now, the problem with me, or not to say the problem, but the reason where my opinion comes from on the prequels is that I did grow up with those movies. I did.
11 years old when the first one came out.
I was 11 years old. We were 11 years old in 1999. So, that movie kind of did, we did grow up with those. Right. Even though, I was a fan of the originals first. So... Even when, like, my thing was like, well, the originals are better, but these are Star Wars too, so I'm going to go see them. More like the rest of these people, like the Plinketts or whatever, they were already kind of in college when that movie came out.
Yeah.
So they were kind of adults, like, especially going into film school and, like, knowing all these things about film, like, all the, so they were able to see those flaws instantly and just not connect with it at all and just said, this is terrible. There's no characters. There's no story. This is not Star Wars. This is garbage, And that was it. And that's their opinion on it permanently. With me, I was young. I could take good things from it, just aside from this. The score, there are things in it that the good things that you take away from it, and regardless of this nostalgia that I had because I watched these movies when I was 11, 14, and 17. My preteen to teen ages. Those were the movies I was waiting for. So, but yeah, those Plinkett reviews are rough on him. But go right ahead.
He destroys them, and I feel like, listen, he's got some great points. But at the end of the day, I feel like if you take any movie, and this is a set of movies, episodes 1, 2, and 3, where obviously one of his big things in there is Lucas was accountable to nobody.
Yeah.
He was the be-all, end-all.
Yeah.
He grew up with a bunch of kids. He not grew up. He was working with a bunch of kids who grew up worshiping the ground that he walked on.
Yeah. Well, and it just had yes men around.
Yeah, yes men. Just like
just a bunch of the executive producer
right.
Rick McCollum. Just it's going to be fantastic. Nobody questioned anything he said or did. Yeah. Even after the Phantom Menace wasn't well received, nobody questioned him on the next two either.
The best part about the Phantom Menace is like, and I feel like you could do this, tear it apart with basically any movie. But the best part about the Phantom Menace is they introduced Obi-Wan in the opening scroll as a Jedi Knight, and then at the end of the movie, Yoda says, "I confer on you the level of Jedi Knight the Council does."
Yeah, he wasn't really a Jedi Knight because it says 2 Jedi Knights were dispatched
in the opening scroll.
Well, it's true, but I mean, it's like that's kind of a nitpick in my opinion because it's like, well, he was a Jedi Knight and a Padawan Jedi. He wasn't a knight yet. He was a Jedi Padawan.
You got to read it. You got to read it in one of the books, the in-between books.
I don't read none of those fucking books, all right?
The novelization of the Phantom Menace.
I don't read none of this shit. I'm talking about the movie. I can't read it anyway.
But it's true. You got to figure 98% of people aren't reading the novelization.
Probably more than that. Yeah. Especially before the first time you see the movie. I'm going to read the novelization of the movie I'm going to see today. Right.
At 11 years old.
Yeah, at 11 years old.
Can we go to Barnes and... Can we go to Borders?
Can we go to Borders Books or
Walden
Books? Whatever. What did we have in
Walden Books.
We had 2 of them, though.
Yeah, there was one downstairs.
What was the one
Books.
downstairs? That was Walden Books.
That was Walden Books.
That was
upstairs was Borders, I think.
Okay, that makes sense. I went to Walden Books a fair amount as a kid. I have my Shadows of the Empire novel book in there. I have my Independence Day novelization book in there. I remember I was like, can I get this? And my mom was like, you got to read it. You got to read it.
Yeah, read it.
Yeah, read it.
Novelization of Independence Day.
Yeah.
I got my novelization of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, right.
Novelization
of all these Will Smith classics.
Yeah, but he totally destroyed them. I watched the first, the review of Revenge of the Sith. I mean, what's this? The first one. Phantom Menace, and then Attack of the Clones, which I agree was,
That's my least favorite one.
Yeah, it's everyone's. It's like
a lot of people hate the Phantom Menace first and foremost.
Really, more so than Attack of the Clones.
That's the one that gets the most flack. Yeah.
Now, the guy that they used to make the clones, that was Jango Fett, right?
Yeah.
Because he kept calling him Boba Fett, which I was a little confused about. So
he was just saying that.
He was just being ridiculous.
Yeah, he's like, it's the same thing.
Right,
it was like his logic goes using
it. Doesn't matter.
Jango, Boba. What? Right. I don't know who the fuck Jango Fett is. Boba Fett, right?
So they had to fit 3 movies into a ready-made puzzle, and just fit the pieces.
That's the difficulty with writing it like that.
100%.
That was why he shouldn't when people say do you think the prequel should have been differently? I always say it's like, well, here's 2 things that could have been done to make them better. George Lucas shouldn't have wrote the screenplay, and he shouldn't have directed. He should have wrote a story treatment and then worked with a screenwriter to make the dialogue and the whole story and everything seemed good. And maybe somebody, because there's a lot of kind of little plot holes, you don't really know, the story's a little muddled in The Phantom Menace. And if you had a competent screenwriter, be like, well, George, maybe we need to do this, or maybe they need to kind of understand what's going on with the Trade Federation and why are they blocking the trade? Like these things are just muddled because in the end, it's true. George just went with the first draft of the script and just went with it.
Did he write the first 3? I mean, 4, 5, and 6.
He wrote the screenplay. He wrote and directed A New Hope, but he wrote that over years. He wrote A New Hope over it, but also the treatment, because it was the way that he wrote A New Hope was that he wrote a huge fat 200-page script,
right? And
he was like, "This is too much stuff for one movie." He's like, "But I wrote all this great other stuff, an ice planet, a forest planet." It's like, so what do I do? I don't want to throw out all this great stuff and a year extra of what I do. So I tell you what I will do. I'll cut them into 3 movies.
Wow.
And I'll just, because the Death Star was supposed to be at the very, very end.
Right.
But instead, he's like, all right, I'll just put the Death Star in the...
We'll make 2.
Yeah, we'll make 2 Death Stars by the time we get to the next one. Yeah, very original. But that's how that worked. But he did that over 3 years' time.
Yeah.
He did that
that was his crowning achievement, that original one.
Yeah, essentially. That was because when you think about it, while Empire Strikes Back is the best one of them, he did not write it and he did not direct it.
Oh, he didn't write it?
No, he wrote the story to it, and then it was a screenplay was written by this science fiction writer called Lee Brackett. She was a woman.
Ooh.
George gets
she was a woman, or she still is?
Well, she died. What happened was that
rest in peace.
He gets the script back from her. He's disappointed with it.
Of course.
By the time he's ready to go back to tell her what to fix or whatever, what he doesn't like, she gets cancer, dies.
No.
Like immediately, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So
that's crazy.
She dies. And George has to scramble too, because at this point George is executive producer. He's very much in the money part. Now he's in the back end. He's financing the movie with his own money.
Is he really?
Through the bank? Yeah. It was getting distributed by Fox, but to get total autonomy, so he could have like the final cut and the say of everything. He said, "Okay, I don't want your money. I'm going to finance this through the bank, even though that's a Hollywood no-no. Never put your own money into a movie,
right?
Because you never know." But he thought it would pay off, and of course,
obviously it did.
Yeah. So he was financing it through the bank, but it was getting distributed through Fox. So he was executive producing and dealing with that shit. So he said, "You know what? I can't be on set every day. I'm going to hire a director." So he hired an old USC professor of his, Irvin Kershner, and he was like, "You need to do this." He's like, "I don't know, George. I don't think I could do it." He was like, "That's why you need to be the one to do it." Like one of those situations.
I have my hands in you.
Yeah, exactly.
George was the emperor.
Exactly. Do it, Irvin. So then Irvin goes back to his agent. His agent's like, "You fucking crazy? You do that movie right now,
professor."
And then after that, he did a James Bond movie and a few other movies. So it did give him more work.
Now this must have been after American Graffiti.
American Graffiti was the big hit for him that made him a millionaire. I mean, he could have retired after American Graffiti.
Oh, yeah,
right. He lies a lot in his interviews. Like I know this guy through and through. I've read multiple books. I've watched every interview that there is of him on YouTube. So when he says something, like I know if it's true or not, or if he's said, it's like, well, that doesn't make sense because he said this in the past or this has happened. Like he said, like, well, I didn't have much money after American Graffiti. No, you became a millionaire after that movie. With
Phil
his
is
wife.
the human George Lucas lie detector.
Yeah, well, I read multiple books. I read, if you know the book by Chris Taylor, How Star Wars Changed the Universe. Is that the name of it?
Probably.
I think that's the name of it. I have the physical book over there. But in that book, THX 1138 came out. It was moderately well received for a science fiction movie at the time. It wasn't very profitable, but he was with Francis Ford Coppola. They were like best buddies at the time. And then Coppola was like, "Well, I bet you can't, you do these weird science fiction movies, but I bet you can't do like a fuzzy like comedy, like kind of like almost like a teen comedy kind of." And he was like, "All right, I'm going to try that." So he based American Graffiti off of his life as a teenager in Modesto, the cars and the chasing the girls and shit. So he wrote that movie. The movie was a smash hit.
Wow.
Massive, massive moneymaker. So that made him a millionaire. He moved to San Rafael in Marin County. This big Victorian mansion or big, Victorian house out there, which he still lives in, by the way, today. He never left there.
Good for him.
And he was a millionaire. He could have retired right then and there, He had his wife, Marsha Lucas, but he's writing this movie, Star Wars. He was like, well, I figure I'm going to be able to do this space movie now that, like, I'm a bit of a success. So he was able to get Alan Ladd Jr. from Fox to say, well, I don't know anything about this Star Wars shit, and it doesn't make any sense to me, but I love what you did with American Graffiti, and I think you're a fucking talented guy, so I'm going to invest in you because I think you know what you're doing.
Wow.
I don't understand this Wookiee, like you read the script, like Wookiees and Tatooine, and I don't know these things, and I can't get a visual of it. Well, and then eventually he did get visuals because he had, what's his name? He had Ralph McQuarrie do the conceptual art for the movie, and then that won over the rest of the executives, headed by Alan Ladd Jr. Alan Ladd Jr. was like, this guy did American Graffiti. He was a smash hit. Let's
give him a shot.
Let's give this guy $20 million or whatever it was. I think it was $13 million. They budgeted him for it. The movie ends up, I think, costing $20 million. And so they gave him the shot, and then Star Wars, came to be. So that's how that happened. Yeah.
I wonder now the second Death Star.
Sure.
I wonder if that would have had the same fault switch in it from Rogue One.
It did. I don't think it did. Yeah,
because you think they figured it out.
They fixed. They were like that. That's the problem.
There's
your problem.
Right.
Somebody put a thermal exhaust port thing that's only 2 meters wide.
Yeah, I had that problem on my station wagon. They put the thermal exhaust in the wrong place.
Sure, and then one little shot to your thermal exhaust port, fucking blows up the whole fucking thing.
Boom.
Crazy. My whole fucking my whole station wagon exploded all over the streets. Yeah, I had to get the fuck out of there, Chewie. But yeah, but that's why they didn't do the thermal exhaust port thing. They had to go in and blow up the main reactor, which was the center of it.
That's true. Right.
Yeah, they did it. They didn't do the trench run again.
Yeah, that's
but the thing was under construction, so they were still able to like squeeze in. That was the logic of it. It's
right.
Like, well, we could
they squeezed right in there
squeeze it
because the Emperor,
Yeah.
He saw everything, but he didn't see that.
he didn't see that coming.
See that.
I have foreseen it. Oh, shit.
There it is.
I should have realized. Yeah, well, his overconfidence was his weakness,
right?
Like Luke said. Yeah, your fate and your friends is yours. Yeah.
Since we're all over the Star Wars universe, I read this.
What's very much another Star Wars episode, mainly because of Carrie Fisher's death.
No, of course. Yeah. No, I'm just thinking. And I've been so involved in like catching up, and we've been talking about it a bunch this past week,
Plinkett,
a couple of weeks,
yeah.
And but I read this article today that they was saying is Snoke, Supreme Leader Snoke.
Supreme Leader Smoke.
Yeah, was he in? What was Lord Darth Sidious's person's name? The person who trained him, the original.
Yeah. That rumor's been going around since the very beginning. They're saying that Snoke might be Darth Plagueis.
Yeah, Darth Plagueis, but that makes no sense because if there's only ever 2 Sith Lords, then that goes out the window immediately, right?
Well, why?
Oh, because all right. So where would we be? So if Plagueis was alive, right? So then Sidious would have been the Sith Lord. Then the one from what's his name from the first one, Phantom Menace.
Maul.
Yeah, Darth Maul. He was a Sith. So there it goes out the window, right?
Well, the thing, sure, but the thing is that in Return of the Jedi, they the Emperor or Palpatine has that talk with Anakin, and when they're in that little thing or whatever. Well, Darth Plagueis was the Lord of Darth long that Sith, so powerful and so wise. He's like, and then I killed him in his sleep. He didn't say he killed him. He's like, and then he killed his master in his sleep. So in other words, he said that Palpatine, killed his master, Darth Plagueis, in his sleep. Or maybe Darth Plagueis didn't die or something like that.
Right.
Now, if you look at the hologram of Snoke's face is a bit fucked up.
Right.
He's a bit mangled. So it's like, well, this guy's been through some shit.
Right.
Presumably shit that we can maybe, understand in the lore of Star Wars. So that might tie in somewhere. But a lot of people are saying Plagueis, and they've even brought this up in like interviews with the writer of the writer of Episode 7.
Oh, have they?
Yeah. Lawrence Kasdan. I think they did it maybe one of the celebrations. They have the panels,
Oh, and they asked him about it.
They had like the audience ask questions, and then people brought it up, and he was playing dumb. He was, Vegas, I don't know what you're talking about. So either like, it is or it isn't. So it's definitely a possibility. The unfortunate thing is with the internet these days, if he is Plagueis, it's not going to be a massive twist anymore because it's like, well, everybody's kind of been talking about that on the internet anyway.
Well, that's kind of what I like about, I didn't really understand you guys were talking about how Disney didn't take over the canon, meaning all the, I guess all the books that had been, all the comic books and all this,
dumped them all
lore.
out. All those old books they're considered legends now, which is not in the current canon.
Well, I guess that was also one of the big problems with episodes 1, 2, and 3. You knew where, like, at the end of the day, it was Anakin being shepherded to become Darth Vader.
Yeah,
so
there's no twist there.
None.
There's no, not very much tension because that's the I used it as a kid. It was like, well, I know what's going to happen. And even before the prequels were out, since the 80s, I think it was like a Star Wars, what's it called? The Star Wars Club or whatever, Star Wars Fan Club. There was like literature that said that that Vader got put in the suit because he had a battle with Obi-Wan on the lava planet.
Oh,
he got fucked up. So that's been known since the early 80s. Huh. So, yeah, my cousin told me that before the prequels. My cousin was a big Star Wars fan, and he was like, you know how he got into the suit, right? He's like, he fights with Obi-Wan on the lava planet. So, and that was like in 94 or whatever. He told me that. So that was like a known thing that was going to go down. So it's like, as a kid, even I remember saying, it's like, well, we know where it's going to happen. He's going to turn into Vader.
So the next 6 years.
Yeah, 6 years to turn into Vader. But, so there was kind of no tension there because you knew where it was happening. So that's an issue. Oh, that's not, I mean, I guess Plinkett brings that up a little bit, but he points at everything else. He points, the biggest point he makes is the characters being weak and the story being shitty.
You don't know who the main character is.
Yeah, there's no protagonist.
And things don't add up. And also the fact, like, he really hates, and this is something that I heard you guys bring up. In A New Hope, you said there was a lightsaber maybe 2 times. Once when, Obi-Wan gave it to Luke.
lightsaber.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and then I think about it, and I guess more so in Attack of the Clones because it was that ridiculous battle with thousands. I mean, I didn't even know there were that many Jedi.
I know, right?
Kid Fistu and his band of friends.
And Plinkett goes over that. You had you had to kind of overcompensate because your story was weak.
Right.
So you just stuffed a lot of cool shit in there that fanboys want to see. It's like, well, this is the stuff that everybody wants to see, right? It's like, well, I mean, I guess the fanboys want to see that,
Right.
but people in the end kind of want to have an emotional connection with the characters of the story and where they go. They don't want to just, because there's only so much like lightsabers, battling can you see. I mean, for a 13-year-old or a 12-year-old, it's gonna fulfill you, yeah. But as an adult, it's like, well, how much of this shit am I gonna see?
It's a ridiculous. Like thinking back on that whole Coliseum battle, it was like a little ridiculous,
a bit much. And definitely, like Plinkett said that. The year before was Gladiator came out.
Right.
So Lucas seen that was like, I need a Coliseum in my movie.
Let's build a Coliseum.
Build the Coliseum, make it bigger and betterer than the one from Gladiator.
More lightsabers.
More everything. More battle droids.
More clones. More battle droids.
More anything. More everything.
More everything. Why did I order this? I'm not even hungry.
Not even hungry. More.
Seinfeld reference.
Yeah, more anything, more everything. Yeah, exactly. But so he does make really good. Yeah. He does make good points at the end. In the end, his channel is really good. I'll plug it for him. Red Letter Media is their channel, and they put out a lot of good content. They have a big Patreon. They're following. People are fucking paying out the wazoo for their Patreon.
Really.
Where's my Patreon?
Give away little gifts.
Yeah,
we'll give you a little Patreon.
I should get a Patreon, right?
Kickstarter.
Hey, it's not free to run a podcast. It costs me a couple bucks every month. So.
All right.
All right. We don't get any revenues, but it's okay. But yeah, they're good. They have good.
It was interesting for me.
Half of the bag, their show. Half of the bag is good. They do other.
That's
movies.
the other. That's the other.
Yeah, I've been watching
with the two of them, right?
Yeah, it's.
Does he do that in that voice or no?
No, he doesn't do half of the bag in the Plinkett voice. He just does half of the bag as himself.
Oh, he does. Okay.
Yeah, but he has his friend Rich come in, and that's the whole idea. Like, there's like a little story behind what they do half the bag. They're like VCR repairman, and they're always repairing Mr. Plinkett's VCR, and they have their other fat friend Rich come in and play Mr.
Rich.
Plinkett. Yeah, Rich Evans, and he's become like a meme himself. That guy.
Right.
But
is that the one you showed me the picture of? Oh yeah, when they were like, name one thing you can think of when you think of like C-3PO, or name one. They're
exactly those. They're all those guys on that. They're on their other shows, whether it be Half in the Bag, or Best of the Worst. They do another show called Best of the Worst.
Yeah, I mean, listen, watching those reviews, like I could definitely see the cinematic shortfalls in the first, episodes 1, 2,
Absolutely.
and 3.
I mean, if you're somebody who understands film and you're a bit of film student, kind of like the Red Letter Media guys, those are glaring things. To the general audiences, maybe not as much, because he does the Titanic, the Titanic review in Plinkett, and that's a good one. And he explains how obviously, well, that's what I'm saying. Most people say that Titanic's a great movie, but why? The characters weren't very strong.
Yeah, but you got to see Kate Winslet topless.
Okay. All right, 98%. End of story.
Caddyshack, Titanic, like first boobs I had ever seen really at that point.
Yeah, I remember when I seen Titanic in the theaters, my mom covered my eyes.
Oh, cover your eyes.
How old were we? That was 97, right?
Was it 9 years old? Like seeing those things, forget about it.
She had nice boobs.
100%.
Yeah,
She's old. She's dropping the stone to the ocean. What is it?
Yeah, the old lady was dropping it. Ooh, yeah, she just like says a little. Ooh, drops the friggin' hot diamond. Ooh, I dropped this. It was a dreadful heavy thing. I dropped it. It fell out of my ass. Yeah, exactly. That all. But in the end, Titanic was made very well, at least by James Cameron. The guy knew his stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're making these movies for the general audience. Audience,
and that's what he explains in the Titanic review. It's like the average person, and I say this a lot with other things. It's like the average person has an IQ of 100, so it's like, if you want your movie to do really good, don't make it overly intellectual.
No.
People don't want to be challenged. They want the shit that they know. They want predictability. They want sameness. That's why Applebee's and Fridays and Outback, they do so good. You want some
get one of those appetizers samplers.
I could go for my bloomin' onion right now. But in the end, he says, well, if you want your movie to appeal to the average audience, which has an IQ of 100, well, make it average.
Right.
Make it simplistic. Give it a simple story with a little heart, and all of a sudden you aim for average and you hit the nail on the head, as opposed to making an intellectual movie.
Like Interstellar.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could call that intellectual.
Not just like a movie, like those Christopher Nolan movies, Inception. Like we just have to be incredibly watching everything that happens, because if you don't, you're like, wait a minute,
did I miss
are
something?
they sleeping? How many dreams are they in right now?
Yeah.
And Interstellar, if you haven't seen it, good movie, but not for someone who's just going to casually watch it. Get up midway, go to the bathroom. These are movies you have to pay attention to.
I wouldn't necessarily call it in maybe like a popcorn, like an intellectual pop. Like I would call it more. Well, no, I wouldn't call it Interstellar like a popcorn movie per se. No. Like a popcorn movie is like Independence Day, where you just shove popcorn in your mouth and you watch the explosions, and there's no character development, and it's very simplistic. It's like so. But a movie maybe like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind with Jim Carrey, like that's kind of an intellectual movie.
Right, you're right.
A Beautiful Mind.
Oh, Beautiful Mind's a classic.
Yeah, like those are like good examples of that.
Filmed part of that on Staten Island.
They did, yeah.
I think that guy just I forget his name, Richard, the guy from A Beautiful Mind that he just died in 2015 last year.
Not Russell Crowe.
No, not Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe played a great role. He's got a lot of range.
Yeah, he's got good range. He could be a fucking fighting around the world, or he could be a crazy schizophrenic math guy.
Cinderella Man.
Yeah. Which guy from Beautiful?
The guy who A Beautiful Mind was based on, the mathematician.
Oh, the real guy. Yeah. He was.
He lived in New Jersey. He actually just died in 2015.
Oh, well, what was his name? Because the character's name in the movie was John Nash.
That's his name.
What were you saying, Richard?
Yeah, Richard, John, similar.
Whatever. Okay. Yeah, it's a 4 out of 4 movie for Roger Ebert. What's it got on Rotten Tomatoes? It's probably pretty good.
Yeah, it's got to be good.
Yeah, Google users give it 97%. I just want to see.
I don't get I like Rotten Tomatoes, but
it's just an aggregator.
Confusing.
You can't really, because remember the way it works is it's an aggregator. So it's kind of just shows you the percentage of who thought it was good and who thought it was bad. So in other words, if it's 97%, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a flawless movie. That just means most people thought it was at least good. Because if you give it as a film critic, if you're a Rotten Tomatoes reviewer, you give it 3 out of 5 stars, it's fresh.
You get a tomato.
You get a fresh tomato. It's fresh. Yeah, you get the tomato.
Yeah.
And so if everyone gives it 3, but no one gives it 5, that means it's a 100% movie.
Oh wow!
But nobody gave it a 5 out of 5.
No.
So that's why you can't. It's an aggregator, and you can't necessarily go by. Like it's a good indicator, I guess. To like I just came from Why Him. With
you went to see it?
Yeah, me and my girlfriend just came from Why Him. We took the plunge into Why Him with
James
Franco and our good friend from Breaking Bad, Tim Watley. For the side.
Tim Watley?
Yes, Tim Watley from Seinfeld.
The dentist?
Yeah, the periodontist.
No, he's the periodontist. That's right.
Yeah, no, I think he was a dentist. But they were talking about John Voight, the periodontist.
Can you look in my mouth? That's the Thanksgiving episode.
Oh yeah, when they're at the
woodpecker. Woody the woodpecker.
Yeah. Yeah, they're at the party or whatever. But Bryan Cranston, yeah, and so.
Wait a minute. I just realized Bryan Cranston was Tim Watley.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying Tim Watley, bro.
Oh my god, I didn't even put 2 and 2 together.
Get the fuck out of here. You didn't know that?
That's because Seinfeld is just like I don't know. Seinfeld is like very near and dear to my heart. I just
naturally.
I don't know why. I never know. I'm not a Breaking Bad guy. Don't watch Breaking Bad to be honest.
Oh my god, you're missing out.
But he's a decent Malcolm in the Middle kind of.
Well, yes, I'm saying because that's how I got him. Really kind of maybe, I don't know about first from Malcolm Middle, but right around the same time.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, that's the guy, that's the same guy. I kind of got that. And then Breaking Bad came out.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, that's Malcolm Middle dad, that's Tim Watley.
It's the periodontist.
It's the periodontist, Tim Watley. No, not John Voight, the actor. John Voight, the periodontist.
John Voight, I was in school with him.
I went to school with him. You went to school with John Voight, the actor? Yeah, no, the periodontist.
He's showing him the pencil.
The pencil, yeah.
What did he buy? He bought the car. He bought the white.
He bought the John Voight's car. The what kind of
car? Plymouth.
Like
remember that the drop top Plymouth?
Yeah, exactly. Those. Let me John
Voight's
car. Let's see, what kind of car was this? It was a LeBaron. It was a
LeBaron.
LeBaron.
Classic.
The LeBaron. John Voight, and then the pencil was chewed. He's like,
that's why he bought it. He goes, so let me get this straight. You bought a car because John Voight owned it.
Maybe. Whatever he says, yeah. Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
my goodness.
I think you like the idea of telling people that you're driving John Voight's car. So what if I do, Jerry? Jerry!
So you go see Why Him.
Why him?
Right,
And
you go to the Page Diner.
I went to the Page Diner
Let's
after.
and then what happened?
Well, what had happened? I don't know.
Him? What did Why Him get?
Why him got? Well, yeah, that was my point. Why him got a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, 40% is pretty bad. I don't know if it deserves a 40%. I think it deserves a little better than that. It's not a good movie, but it's not terrible. There's gags and there's jokes and there's a bit of a story. I mean, it's a little hackneyed, but I'm not gonna give it 60%, but maybe like
54,
50 to 55. Yeah, like in that range. Like 40%, I think is low. Like I'm seeing it says 40% on tomato meter, so that's the critics, and then the audience score gives it 63. The average is 3.5 out of 5. So it's somewhere in between. So you can't really necessarily go by it all the time because it is an aggregator and it's not necessarily the most accurate thing every time. Like, obviously, with, like, a movie like Godfather 2, like, Godfather 2 is going to have, like, 99%. Because who the fuck is going to give Godfather 2 less than 3 stars, you know? Like, maybe one idiot that you should never even listen to because they're a brainless moron.
Yeah, Godfather 2 got 97.
Which
Godfather 1 got 99. And I read the one guy who went
They must have changed because I've seen them at 100%.
I thought they were 100 too, yeah.
They've
you know these guys.
because there's fucking reviewers come on, other new reviewers come on.
Ooh, it's terrible.
I'm going to be a fucking prick and change this.
The Luca Brasi death scene made no sense in regards to the plot.
I didn't necessarily believe that he was taking the cannolis and not the gun. Yeah, like, awful, So, yeah, exactly. It's got... It used to be 100% The Godfather. I'm looking at it right now. It's got 99%, 83 fresh, one guy rotten.
I just read that rotten earlier tonight, believe it or not.
Did you read that?
Yeah, because they were like, anybody could. He said, I think he said in his opening little line, like anybody could have done. No good actor would have done worse than Marlon Brando.
I see it right here. I don't see how any gifter could have done less than Brando does here. His resident power is. So what? So
he talks about his tone and the consistency of his voice throughout. What I don't. He's not looking at. It's the movie is. It's the essence of that movie. It's not just about. Again, I never noticed any inconsistencies in his voice. Not that I was listening for it.
Right.
And he's the Godfather. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah. Is he complaining about Brando's character or Brando's acting? Well, what is he complaining about?
I think he was maybe an early on Brando. I mean, Brando has been around forever.
Sure.
He's
on the waterfront.
Yeah, on the waterfront, right. It's like in the early... It was black and white.
Yeah, or like 52 or whatever.
Exactly. I think he was just complaining. He just because we're reading his article.
Yeah,
now. We weren't going to read this.
But
guy's
that's the
article.
point. It's like people shock value, make this. But like, it's it's.
My point. My whole. What I don't understand about Rotten Tomatoes is. Tomatoes is that like every animated movie gets 100. Like no
Not
matter
everyone,
what,
but the like Toy Stories, like all three of them are like 100%.
Even look at the recent ones.
Which ones?
Like I don't know. Look, recent.
Some of them are made very well. I don't watch them personally, but some of them are made very well. So I mean and I'll watch like some other guys' reviews that are like it's a really great movie, blah 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 blah. But you're right. I like Toy Story 3. I think has 100%.
Oh, I mean, listen. I'll
like
see
Toy
the
Story
Stories.
3. I'm assuming is it not actually a better movie than Godfather 1 or 2?
No, it can't. Obviously not. Right. I mean, but what is. With all of so many animated movies get high scores. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, Godfather 2's got 97. Godfather 1's got 99.
Yeah, I only know that because I looked at it right before I came here.
Yeah, but Godfather 2, but they get brought up a lot because they are like the best movies.
Oh, well, we were talking about it with regards to Empire. That
exactly.
The two best sequels.
I compare them all the time. If you're going to talk about sequels, the two best ever are Godfather 2 and The Empire Strikes Back. I don't think that anybody could even fucking argue that. I had a cinema teacher in college, and we would talk about Star Wars, and she didn't like them.
No.
And no, I mean she was the one cinema teacher in the whole school that would pan them, And I would always get in arguments with her, that would always get brought up. She didn't like The Godfathers either, or like Casino or any of that shit.
So she didn't like anything.
She was the worst one to get, that professor, because like every other professor, we're watching Goodfellas today, we're watching Star Wars today.
Granted,
they're movies. You had a cinema class, right? You watched the first day. That's great. Yeah. See, I got fucked in my cinema class, even though I got like an A in it. But it was it was just silent movies in the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I learned a lot about the beginning history.
Oh, yeah.
Like, as if I watch Goodfellas, like I
The
know,
jazz singer.
I know everything about that shit. You know, I'm not gonna really learn anything. I did. Granted, I learned, like, I watched Citizen Kane and I watched North by Northwest. Rosebud Peas. If you've ever seen The Critic, that show, you remember the show The Critic?
Yeah.
With John Lovitz.
Yeah, right.
They used to do bits like that. Like, that show was like the precursor to the cutaway gags for Family Guy.
Oh my goodness.
They used to do those cutaway gags a lot. So, and then Family Guy copied that shit. But so I did learn a lot of that stuff. In fact, Singing in the Rain, I watched that class. Not that I had.
That's the only time I had seen Singing in the Rain. Was
in the class. Yeah.
Well, I've seen it again since, but we were watching all these older movies, and they put that one on. I was like, wow, this movie's incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, Godfather. When I see all the homage. I get a little homage on that.
A side dish of homage.
So all the homage that he plays, like when the FBI, they're serving the warrants to Karen.
Sure.
And there's on TV, she's watching TV. That's a jazz singer. It was the first talkie. Yeah, it was the first movie with
who's that with
talking
again?
in it.
It's not Charlie Chaplin. It's the other guy.
Yeah, I mean,
the jazz.
The jazz singer. I have no idea. But
the guy. There's a
famous guy, Lawrence Welk, maybe.
Let me see.
Because that's the only other guy I know from that time period. Exactly.
Al Jolson?
Oh, Al Jolson, yeah.
Jolson.
Obviously Al Jolson. Then they do the long cutaway when they're going into the Copacabana. That's a scene that so many people have taken from.
Oh, sure. The tracking scene, it's one shot. It's in one shot. If I ever did a movie, I would love to do a shot like that. In fact, when we were in New Orleans a few months for Halloween, we ate at this place called the Commander's Palace, and it's big, like, Victorian house that's like a restaurant, and it's crazy, but I took out my camera.
You did a long shot,
and I did a long shot through because at one point you go through the kitchen.
Yeah.
You
too, always you too.
You too. Don't you work?
Don't you work?
So I pulled that shit, but it was like the same length too. It took like 2 minutes to get up to our table. Upstairs.
He didn't act like a construction worker.
Yeah, well, I'm a union delegate. I'm a fucking lying fraud, fucking murdering scumbag. Yeah, it's classic.
Oh god!
But they're all classics.
It's funny. I just looked up. Godfather 3 got 67% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Whoa! Godfather 3 got 67%.
Godfather 3.
I don't know if I would give it that high.
It was just like, besides the fact of how bad it was just a confusing movie. It's like, what, you're taking over the Vatican? Like, what's even going on here?
Much.
Like,
too much.
They went too far with it.
All of a sudden, they were like a. They were like a $1 billion industry.
The olive oil business led to the they liquidated their olive oil interest to buy all the casinos,
buy every casino in Nevada, and then subsequently buy off the Vatican. What were they doing? I've only seen the movie 3 times.
Yeah, it's not. I watched.
Fredo! No! I hate that scene when he has a flashback of Fredo or whatever, or he's having a heart attack in the kitchen or whatever.
Yeah.
He's screaming Fredo's name because he's upset that he killed his brother in the last movie.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert! If you wanted to see Godfather 3, 28, if you haven't seen it 28 years later, don't.
They should make a Godfather 4. Yeah, Joe Mantegna.
Godfather 4.
It's got a 78% audience score, which is surprising.
I mean, they'll look at the audience.
Yeah, they don't know what they're doing.
The damn audience.
Average.
Not you guys.
IQ.
Other audience.
You fucking average IQ fucks. Yeah, whoever that is. But I don't know if I would give it 3 stars. I'd be hard pressed to give it 3.
Yeah, but I just sometimes I go through and I'll just look at movies that I haven't seen, classic movies. I've been in more of a classical mood lately,
Sure.
And I don't mean in the traditional sense, just like really quality stuff, because there's so much
quality stuff
in your terms, schlock in the today, whether it be music, whether it be I look at the movies that are out. Go grab a tissue.
Keep going.
Phil's gonna grab a tissue.
We're not gonna stop. Keep going.
No, double play. And it's just there's so much garbage out lately, and so I'm going back and I'm just taking this time of reflection and of gratitude in this season. I'm watching some oldies but goodies, just some movies that I haven't gotten to see, and things I haven't gotten to catch up on, and whether it be music and all different things, and it's definitely better because I look at so many times I can't even go to the movies. Just there's some mediocre horror movies coming out. Then of course you got your animated movies that Rotten Tomatoes gives like 110% because everyone loves animated movies. Your boy Plinkett was talking about an animated movie that they did in one shot, like in Goodfellas. I'm like, it's an animated movie, of course. What do you mean one shot?
Wait, what was
He was talking about some animated movie that they did in like one shot in that long shot.
Oh, they did, yeah, but it's like, well, that's
an animated movie. They did it in one computer screen.
Yeah, one computer rendering. What? Yeah, like what are they fucking
stuff.
talking about? Yeah, exactly. That's like bullshit. But I know when Scorsese actually did it right. He came out with a movie recently. Apparently, it's got very good. I think the name was Silence.
Oh, is that the movie about the monk?
Yes.
The monk, I think, in Japan?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not out. I don't think it's
out
to the public yet.
Oh.
I think they played it at one of the festivals.
Oh, no, it's out. It's out today.
Is it?
Yeah.
Today? Like the 31st or the 30th?
Let's see. Well, no, it's been out since September 23rd.
I think they played it at the film festival. For some reason, I heard about it. But it's got to be a good movie.
It's he's got 89% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
Scorsese is the one that two Christian missionaries travel to Japan, and beef ensues.
Beef ensues.
But another, Scorsese just turns out the hits. These guys
does.
well into his 70s. The rest of these fucking guys, his peers, Francis Flop Coppola,
Francis Flop.
that schmuck, and like the rest of them, De Palma. Lucas, Scorsese still churns out the hits. The rest of them kind of slag. Like Spielberg, you have a good one here or there, but nothing to the.
It's not a lot of junk though.
It's not a lot of junk. Like
but, I mean,
not junk, but like nothing that I want to go out of my way to see.
No.
Like the one with the bridge or whatever. What was that one?
London Bridge is falling down.
No, fuck it. This is I gotta get.
A Tale of Two Bridges. Bridget Jones' Diary.
Shut the fuck up, you fuck. No, he did the movie BFG this year.
Oh, yeah, it was animated.
That was
right?
an animated movie.
Of course. You know what's funny about those animated movies? Like, so I'm looking online.
How do you direct an animated movie? You direct the guys with the computers?
No, he direct a bunch of nerds.
Yeah, direct. Or should I do it
more
that way?
Mountain Dew?
Hey, we need more Mountain Dew here. Can we do this?
What kind of cereal do you guys
Spielberg, like he needs to make any movies. The guy's another billionaire.
But they they get some big names to do these animated movies.
Do.
Like I was looking at this one before. I didn't realize it was animated. It was called Sing or something like that. And it was like a bunch of like great, top. I don't want to say great.
That movie's in the theaters right now.
To get Matthew McConaughey, some people think is great. Other
all right.
Yeah, all right. Like
Yeah.
He is what he is, but
sure is.
There's a bunch of famous people. I'm like, wow, what movie is this? I'd like to see this, and it was animated. I'm not looking at animated junk.
Right.
I'll watch Toy Story for nostalgia.
Bridge of Spies was the movie I was talking about.
Oh, Bridge of Spies was good. True story.
Yeah. It was good enough for you. I heard it was a little laggy.
It was laggy, but I'm into that, like Cold War, behind the scenes negotiation kind of movies.
Sure. If you're into that, I guess that would have been fine. I didn't see it, but I mean, like compare that to like Raiders of the Lost Ark, or E.T.
Right,
E.T. He's not
the Lost World.
Yeah, like Jurassic Park. Like those movies are fucking epic. Like the Bridge of Spies. Like I don't really have much in like. Nothing really drawing me in to see that, or nothing was really drawing me in to see BFG.
I think Bridge of Spies was more a labor of love movie, probably. Like one of those movies that people just do.
Yeah, he did that for Schindler's List.
But BFG was just probably a paycheck. They were like, "Oh, we'll give you this paycheck."
Fat paycheck.
Oh, you were talking about I just been re-listening to a bunch of the episodes that I just re-listened to all 19 other episodes.
I appreciate
that. No, it's just
over fucking a year and a half. We had 19 episodes.
Well, I'm listening to I'm in Florida. Sometimes I want to get a taste of home, and like Phil and Sean, like we're better taste of home. Talk about nonsense.
Yeah, two schmucks talking about nonsense.
But it's good. And you talking about the guy. What movies did he did? He did Happy Feet, and then he did
fucking Adam Sandler, right?
No,
not Adam Sandler.
The director, he's like a 77-year-old. He did Happy Feet. And then he did
fucking George. What's his name?
Yeah,
he didn't do Happy Feet.
He did Happy Feet. He directed Happy Feet.
Yeah,
and then he directed the Road Warrior movie.
No, we're talking about George Miller. George Miller. He did exactly. How do you direct Happy Feet and then direct these like epic apocalyptic battling movies?
What was the name of that movie?
What, Mad Max Road Warrior?
Yeah, Mad Max. I've never gotten into
Fury
Mad
Road.
Max.
Fury Road. I didn't really get it. I wasn't into them as a kid.
But it was a good movie, you said. You guys said it was a good movie, this one.
Fury Road was really good. Yeah.
Was it?
It's action packed. The whole movie's action. It's like,
Yeah.
but like at the same time, like it was well made. Like the characters were good. Like everything worked well. You know, like you went in, it was intense. There was character development of sorts, and you went out and everything worked, and like it just. So that movie really just worked every which way,
good.
you know, really worked, and that's the best way I could describe it, and especially for that kind of movie. And what throws you back is that George Miller is like in his mid fucking 70s.
Right.
The last movie he did before that was Happy Feet, you know, and it just all of it was crazy. So you got to give that guy a lot of credit. I mean, he looks younger than he's 71. I mean,
71 is the new 65.
71 is the new 68 and a quarter. Yeah. He looks younger than he is, though. I mean, he looks like he could be in his 60s and not 70. But
he's got the happiest feet I've ever seen.
He's got the happiest feet after directing Happy Feet. We got a nice fat 7-figure paycheck. But yeah, and then what's it called? Did good. So I guess this is reinvigorating his career.
Yeah, you said they got probably 2 or 3.
Sure, why not?
For the Mad Maxes.
I hope he doesn't, have a fucking heart attack and die.
Running into the ground. Yeah, hopefully not. 71. They keep him alive now.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought about Carrie Fisher, man. That's what I kept saying. I was like, well, she's 60. But then that 15 minutes unresponsive on the plane didn't sound good either.
That doesn't sound good. I mean, I guess they said, is there a doctor on the plane? But no one answered.
No, there was like people that were like, had CPR, new CPR or whatever.
Right.
You know.
Even if the brain's not, not getting oxygen.
Well, she was unresponsive for 15 minutes. Your brain's not getting oxygen for 15 minutes. And I watched an interview with the doctor, and the doctor was like, well, 15 minutes completely unresponsive is
no bueno.
We consider that,
dead.
It's exactly. And so I just thought she'd make it out, but just wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
And I just hoped that was going to make it out. All right, even if she's a little slower now or a little, she'll have to like definitely take it easy and stay back in Beverly Hills. But I thought she'd pull through. She's 60 years old.
Yeah, she's lived. I mean, She's lived a solid 60 years, though.
Oh, yeah. She lived
a momentous 60
years.
I
mean, she totally did not live a normal life. And at one point she says that she is like the definition of the product of Hollywood inbreeding. So in other words, when two movie stars have a kid, the kid always comes out to have like a life of turmoil,
turmoil,
tumultuous life. Yeah, exactly.
They'll probably make a good movie about her life, though.
They could totally.
Who do you think would play her?
Her daughter, Billie Lourd. No,
not Billie Lourd.
No, not Billie Lourd. They can just CG her, just completely
CG, make it her.
Make it her.
They're gonna eventually not need actors.
I know, right? They're gonna just get rid of. They're gonna not need anybody more. They can just get like $500 a day stuntmen or like extras,
right,
and then just slap the faces that you need on them. We'll make them beautiful. It doesn't matter.
Right.
We'll make Paul Walker. We'll bring him in.
Well, we own his likeness anyway.
Yeah, they own all the likenesses. Yeah. It's true. I mean, they I don't know if they own the likeness. Well, I know they own Carrie Fisher's likeness, and they don't get any royalties for any of that.
So you don't think she got paid for Rogue One?
I don't know. That's a different one. Like, I know with the toys and everything. I don't know, like, exhibiting her likeness in another movie. I don't know. I mean, she might not have. Did they need her blessing? I don't know. I wish I did know, but yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if she got credited or something like that. I don't know.
And at the end?
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know. I didn't check, but I know Peter Cushing's family gave their blessing to put.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, they gave their blessing to put him in the movie.
On that note, one thing you guys had in some previous podcasts, you were talking about Heath Ledger's family not giving their blessing for them to use Christopher Nolan to use Heath Ledger in Batman Rises and Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, because they had some footage, I think, right?
Yeah, they had some footage, and they were going to make him the judge. When they did the judge and
right.
And the doctor.
Now, I think that was what Sean had said, but is there not any DVD footage of that, or like bonus extra footage?
Yeah,
like,
behind the scenes,
I've never
they would release that.
Yeah, so like I know like we had said that, but I I don't know if is the footage out there. You would hope that it would eventually get released.
Well, there's got to be a lot of stuff in most movies on the cutting room floor that even doesn't get released anywhere. So they might just have some like some outtakes,
couple clips.
Yeah, a couple clips.
Yeah, a couple.
But it wouldn't have been. He's such a. Like the way they built him up, built his character, like defined him in the Dark Knight. To put him as like a secondary character in the Dark Knight Rises would have been a waste.
Sure. Yeah, because he was like the top.
Yeah, he was so overpowering.
Yeah, he was like the top. He's Batman's mortal enemy, you know, like
Right.
really in the end, like that's the antithesis of Batman.
Yeah.
You know, you have
100%.
Batman on the good side and Joker on the bad side. They're two sides of the same coin, kind of.
Oh, and that's what Joker says right before right before he falls
Yeah.
at the end. You know, when this is what happens when the immovable
object meets an unstoppable force. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it would have been a waste too. It would have been taken away from the impact of Bane. You be asking where Joker was and not where Bane is.
Bane coming from the other side of the world.
Powerful agents to the uninitiated, but we are initiated. Now give me a paycheck, Christopher Nolan. Yeah,
Give it to me.
give me direct deposit it into my account. Yeah.
I just rewatched all three of those the other day.
You told me.
Yeah, and definitely classics. Really, like,
Sure.
you know, I'm not big into like the old Batmans.
No. You talking about 1989?
No, I'm
Oh,
talking about Adam Wolf.
Oh,
No,
Adam Wolf.
Obviously, not like
Pure West.
Adam West, not
Yeah.
Adam Wolf.
Adam Best. Yeah. Oh, Adam Wolf.
Adam Wolf. I don't know who Adam Wolf. Who was Adam Wolf? Was from Law and Order.
That's Dick Wolf.
Dick Wolf. I'm
Executive
confusing
producer
all
Dick
names.
Wolf. Yeah.
Confusing
That was funny
all
on
names.
Facebook the other day. A girl actually got executive producer Dick Wolf tattooed on a tramp step
It's classic.
as in that font, so it looks
Yeah.
just like that.
Dun, 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 dun,
Dun,
dun.
dun, dun. Yeah, exactly. Like it was funny. It was